Oh, oh my God. Yeah. Okay. There's my voice. Hi and welcome to. Uh, okay, cool. I was just checking that it's working. Day 56, I believe. Let's share my screen. Uh, Now I've increased the size significantly because I'm not wearing my glasses and therefore I can't really see. So let's go through it. Numbers 5 starts with God again giving the rules for purity in Israel's camp. I'm going to highlight this again because I think it's worth paying attention to. Command the people of Israel to remove from the camp anyone who has a skin disease or discharge, or has become ceremonially unclean by touching the dead person. And it gives rules around, such, so they don't defile the camp, so that they do not defile God's presence. Now, the reason I want to highlight that is because of the lady with the issue of blood. And I think we can easily dissociate old from new, right? We can easily forget the significance of some of these things. The woman with the issue of blood pushing through all those people to get to Christ, you know, she was effectively defiling them. She was making so many people unclean by her actions, by these standards, selfish actions. Except I think it's the difference between things that point to Christ and when Christ is there. Because in that instance, not only did she receive a significant blessing, she was made clean by touching Christ. She was not judged for effectively breaking the rules because she was seeking after Christ. And it should put into perspective, the law, Christ said, was man made for the Sabbath, or was the Sabbath made for man? Was man made for the law, or was the law made for man? Which one is more important to God? And when we'd see Christ incensed and angry at the Pharisees, it was more often because of this, because they seemed to place the law above men. And we do that today. We do that where, there's a bar from I think it's one of Lecrae's mixtapes, one of the songs I like on it, where it's like I think misconception. It is misconception, and it's like someone says they're deconstructing, and you just call them a heathen, or tell them to just read their Bible instead of dealing with what they're dealing with, dealing with where they're bleeding. I think the bar is, and it's this idea of just throwing the book at people, throwing the law at people, throwing all the rules and the burden of those things at people, as opposed to actually caring for those people and seeing them as human beings worthy of compassion and empathy. And so, yeah, I wanted to point that out. God carries on, and there's this the definition of a jealousy offering, and I was thinking along the lines of some of these things get co-opted into secular culture, right? So this idea of giving the woman this jealousy offering to drink, which has dust from the tabernacle floor, and this test that she would either swell up when the belly and become infertile or be fine. We've seen where, like, I think in some Ghanaian tribes, where they make the woman drink. So if there's a widow and her husband's died, when they clean him, like when they, like towel bath him, they make the wife drink the water to test whether or not she is responsible for his death. Now, I don't know which influenced which, right? But I was thinking this seems a bit much. And, I was trying to figure out a sort of scientific way in which this could be okay for one person who is, and, detrimental to one person who is not telling the truth. And it occurred to me how narrow-minded that is, because I'm trying to justify this weird thing, which is weird by, my standards. But I'm justifying this about a people who saw a pillar of cloud lead them and a pillar of fire, right? If God is saying he can do this and he who knows the truth will judge, it doesn't have to fit like the physics or the biology, or there doesn't have to be a scientific backing, because there's no scientific backing for a pillar of fire, or for God split in the sea. There's simply God has designed this to handle them. And again, we've got to remember the law was given to deal with men's hardness of heart. Um, so yeah, I thought that was interesting, and they go through this whole process to test if the woman um, is unfaithful versus the man. The feminist side of me was like, why isn't there a test for the men? But again, we we say that from a viewpoint of equality, which isn't necessarily because equality is better or wrong, but it's because of the change in society. There was a time when, in the pre-industrial age, you know, the physicality, the general physicality of a male versus a female meant a male could do certain work and do certain things, and had a certain aptitude for certain things that meant female in those times would easily be better suited towards nurturing. That's also what women are designed for, right? But, we had the sort of knowledge work age now where I'm not working with my hands per se. I'm not doing physical work or a physical trade. I'm an engineer, and I'm not. It's just a work of the mind, and women have equal minds. We don't have equal physical capabilities in general, right? But we do have equal mental capabilities, and so there's a equality now because the means by which we build our lives is different and is suited towards nowadays sort of knowledge work type things. I'm speaking in generalities, but yeah, that most of the engineers in my team that are women, and I would easily say are way smarter than me, way more creative, way more capable. So anyway, in that time, it was different, where being a part of a man's family, a man's wife, a man's concubine, as it were, had a layer of security to that existence. Um, and so it wasn't necessary for the men, in as much as we see later on that God did expect and God does want, you know, um, uh, uh, faithfulness from the men as well. In the requirements of an elder or the requirements of a deacon, you can see, oh, he's to be of one wife, and he's, all of these things. So yeah, um, the next bit in chapter 6 is all about the Nazarite laws, and I think it's worth noting. So we will come to one of the judges who was a Nazarite, Samson, and there's this rule in 6:6: they must not go near a dead body. I think we should recognize that these things are part of this society. Because when we come to Samson, we'll see he defiles a lot of the laws in terms of drinking, in terms of going near a dead body. His famous riddle came from the line, from the strong something sweet or whatever it was from a lion. He killed a bunch of Philistines with the bone of a donkey, which was a dead body. So there's this interesting thing with the law being given and the presumption made that it was followed perfectly. When I think as we read, we will realize God's grace has allowed for men to do, work around from jump. It wasn't just New Testament, Jesus is now great, from jump, grace has been, allowing for men to, for lack of a better word, get away with stuff. And so number 6 is all about that Nazarite law, and then this beautiful blessing, priestly blessing. That's a song now as well called The Blessing. That is just a beautiful thing. And I'd encourage you to go and check out the song. I can't play it because of copyright, but it's a beautiful thing. So that's today's reading. Let's see what tomorrow holds for us. Tomorrow is just sorry, number 7. I hope you can hear me with my lost voice. But tomorrow is number 7, and God willing, I'll be here. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your evening, rest of your day. Peace out.